So I played a game called Pools on stream the other day, and I really thought that it was going to be your typical horror experience because that's what I saw on Twitter. When I first saw this clip, I was like, wow, that looks like a fire game to play on stream. You're just getting chased around by this really creepy snake creature. Oh, and it's going to be fun, you know? Look at the grown man getting scared by these horror pixels. But I was wrong. Chat was telling me that was the wrong game, and I didn't believe them, so that was really on me. But nonetheless, Pools, the correct game, is really something else. Pools is a game that takes place in liminal spaces, and as the Steam store page tells you, there are no monsters. Instead, you'll be immersed in these liminal spaces that feel oppressive at times, that invoke fears of getting lost. Dark, tight spaces and outwardly architecture is common there. And there is a word that I've been saying a lot these past few sentences, liminal, and as Google puts it, it's the uncertain transition between where you've been and where you're going physically, emotionally, or metaphorically. But if you don't get that, thank God, because there is someone that said, can you explain liminal space like I'm 5? And this guy put it in a really good way. Imagine a classroom from your childhood. Surely you are imagining it in the day, with sunlight spilling in through the windows and kids shuffling to their desks. This is the state in which a classroom is most frequently seen and serves a purpose for. Now imagine sneaking into your school late at night, and everything is empty. It is almost eerie seeing the same classroom at night. In a totally different context, suddenly its usual purpose has been robbed, and it's just a room. But not quite, because now it also feels strangely alien and enigmatic to you. A purposeless, otherworldly architecture. The next day, that room would be back to normal. In its default state, it is back to being a real classroom, but that middle phase, it was when you saw it at night. It's a liminal phase, a state of transition. And often spaces like that carry eerie characteristics such as being out of time and out of place. That's liminal spaces. And this Redditor also adds to it where he says that part about being robbed of its purpose is very important. This usually means a lack of people where there should be, or a car park with no cars, or something similar. Anywhere that is usually empty or still, places that should have lots of people but don't. And if you're a visual learner like me, this can really tell you a lot about it. This weird kind of like hotel room where it's just a bunch of space, like an empty hallway. And honestly, I have that same thing in my hallway too. It feels like it goes on forever. It's this space that feels familiar yet unfamiliar to you, and where you should feel comfortable, but it feels really eerie. But now that you know what liminal spaces are, let's talk about pools. Playing this game was honestly a trip and a half, not only because I thought that there was going to be a monster like halfway through the game, but also because every single part of it felt absolutely unnerving. The stark nature of these rooms felt familiar, yet as you go through them, it was like you were getting lost. Like the fact that every single room that I went to were just pools and nothing but pools should be, in theory, not a terrifying concept, but because this place seemed to be a never-ending maze of seemingly familiar places, made it nuts to experience. Bro, I hate this. The white tiles that span far and wide with the yellow hue of dim lights that made like the dark places in this game even scarier to traverse made that feeling of unfamiliarity even worse. And then there were also the random objects that were scattered around, like these chairs that you can find literally anywhere. Like everyone knows this chair. Assortments of floaties in random pools, a bunch of different weird statues, all in different positions and sizes, and these ducks, all of it just felt so discomforting. Like, why are they even here? Are you guys staring at the fucking light of God? Alright. But as you traverse through this game, you're brought through different levels that present you different liminal spaces that all mesh and unmesh the nearer you get to like the end of the game. But rest assured, the pools and the white tiles do continue, but slowly change over time to include blue tiles and black tiles, and even introduces new rooms like saunas, which was my absolutely least favorite part of this game. I mean, it really made it feel like you were in an actual horror game, even without a monster to chase you. And as you continue to progress, you'll come across weirder and even crazier objects, like this statue that looks like the thing on the playground, like a jungle gym made of people. These statues that have pipes going through them, and these impossible to traverse looking staircases that look like they're just for show, yet you can actually use them. But one of my favorite parts of this game is the use of spaces, as it really feels like these large, grandiose spaces really shouldn't be able to exist. Yet here they are, where there's like a big chessboard set where there's 2 players playing and they're made out of marble statues, and they're also moving pieces that are also made out of marble statues, slides that look like they go for ages, and like this escalator room. It's all crazy. Like the best example for this was the transition from one level to another where you get transported into like what looks like to be a small suburban neighborhood that's in a large dome where there's a blue sky and a bunch of clouds, but clearly it's underground. Like an impossibly large space underground is something that I've seen in other games before, but in this game it feels like you've been abducted and taken to another world completely. But at the end of the game, after you walked/ran, and by golly I did not walk at all, through countless rooms made out of bricks, tiles, wood, and everything in between, you're forced to go through what seems to be a house with a maze. But as you go through it, statues appear from behind that block the path to turn back, and at the end, one final room with a pool, a table, and the way to escape is shown, and where our character puts down the camera on the table and just goes. And I saw this comment/review on Steam for this game that I felt really summarized the whole experience really well. At first I thought, with graphics this good and no monsters, I can explore a surreal liminal space in peace without fear. I could not. And I by golly, I will tell you, the graphics for this game did not make this experience any less scary. It made it actually way worse. While Pools was generally a walking simulator, it was still my first walkthrough into what a liminal space could be, and without the monsters it still made me feel scared, nervous, yet made me really want to explore more. Anyways, 10 out of 10 game. I hope to never get thrown into the back rooms or whatever liminal spaces exist out there. And my favorite part of this whole game was the sheep that was just chilling on that random ass couch. Bye bye. These stairs right here, one wrong step, you will fuck up your whole day.